Hey everybody, welcome back to Turnpike Fantasy Football 2014. This is the Week 10 preview show, and I am proud to be doing this show here in Week 10. Proud of my league, the most full of integrity league in fantasy football. Why, we're so full of integrity, it's disgusting. We have that much integrity in this league. So, let me just start off by saying you probably see that this is a very short video compared to the other ones from this season. The reason for that is I've decided not to do a Meet the Manager this week. There's really nobody of interest this week that I want to speak to. A couple of you are still out there I haven't spoke to, both long kids obviously I got to get to, John, Matt. But there's really nothing that needs to be talked about at this moment. Other than the fact of the integrity of this league and the message board and how much I've enjoyed the past week at work and how much I've enjoyed twisting screws. Let's get to last week's matchups. First off, I want to start off with the Long Bowl. And Greg Long wins this one with his Mount Laurel Lancers, 128-109. Boy, that must be tough for you, Kenny, around that house. Winless in the long matchups this season. Greg, you got 31 out of Peyton Manning, 28 out of Mark Ingram, and 16 out of Denard Robinson. Wow, Denard Robinson's really just come out of nowhere, put 3 great games together in a row. Great waiver wire claim for you, Greg. Is it a little bit too late? We don't know. Kenny, you had Aaron Foster, who got off to an unbelievable start before injuring himself. He still got you 29 points in like half a game. 25 points out of Marshawn Lynch, and 13 points out of T.Y. Hilton. In the next match, we had Papa Long taking on Hamilton Square Possum. And what has happened to Jeffariah Hezekiah Goldenbaum? Chris wins this one 133-70, where Chris is just riding a red-hot Jeremy Maclin this season to 44 points, 21 out of Rob Gronkowski, and 20 points out of his quarterback, Drew Brees. Where, Jeff, you got 22 points out of Carson Palmer and 10 apiece out of Lamar Miller and Andre Williams. Jeff, you've got to be a little nervous right now, but there could be some good news. Adrian Peterson could be on his way back. We're not sure if that's actually going to happen. There's speculation that now that he's copped this plea deal of no contest, there's a chance he could see the field soon. I'm not one who believes that. I think the NFL would take a humongous PR hit if they allowed him to play again this season. And where do the Vikings really stand by getting him back in this season? The Vikings season's pretty much over with. That's not a question. So if he plays again, that would be something to keep an eye on. In the next match, we had Michael Sam's Gerbils, Brian Sheehan's team, taking on John Moore's Downingtown Gravediggers. And what has to just seem like a never-ending season to John Moore, Brian wins this one 127-73. Sheesh, again, strong points out of Tom Brady, 33. Deshaun Jackson, 23. And his kicker, Steven Gostkowski, with 15 points. Where, John, you got 16 points out of your quarterback, Andy Dalton. You got 14 points out of your tight end, Jimmy Graham. And your defense got you 14 points, the Cleveland Browns defense. And up next, we've got Aaron Stampa's Snoozy Loafs. Taking on Bob Crane's Julius Jones. And Bobby wins this one 139-41 in an incredibly low score. Aaron Stampa gets 41 total points. That's starting 9 players, and he got 41 points. Bob, you got 50 points out of Ben Roethlisberger, the rapist. More on the other rapist in our league in a minute. Alfred Morris with 22 points, and Odell Beckham Jr. with 20 points. Where, Aaron, you got 14 points out of Nick Foles, 6 points out of Santos, your kicker. I don't even know this guy's first name, and I thought I knew everybody in fantasy football. I don't even know names of people you're starting. But you did get 5 points out of Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles. That's right, you traded for him. And you got somebody else too, right? Ben Tate, right? As a matter of fact, let's talk about that right now. Let's talk about the new feature we're going to start from the rest of the season on out. And it's something that I'm going to call Lacey-gate. And that is where we're going to take a look each week at total points produced out of this combination of Darren Sproles and Ben Tate versus Eddie Lacy. And we're going to see who gets the better end of this stick. I think I know where that's going to go. But let's all give it up for Jeff this week. He did throw himself on the sword because he didn't have Lacy to play this week. He was such a big-hearted gentleman and gave away his 2 running backs in Ben Tate and Sproles to Aaron, so Aaron had a couple to start. Aaron's still defending this trade, by the way, in the league. Next up, we do have that before-mentioned Jeff Zeminski's Paper Tiger taking on Matt Dreyfus's Fishtown off in the corner in really what was the closest matchup of the week. Matt, you had a chance to pull this out at the very end. All you needed was 3 more points out of your quarterback, Andrew Luck. But Jeff wins this one 106-104. Jeff got 44 points on really a week where he was hit with bye weeks pretty bad, but he got in. It was able to start Jeremy Hill, who to his credit he drafted, and he did start him to 44 points. He also got 37 points out of Antonio Brown, who really is probably the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL this season, and 14 points out of Seattle's shitbag defense. Well, Matt, you got, like I said, 38 points out of Andrew Luck, 18 points out of Andre Ellington, and 12 points out of your kicker, Stephen Hauschka. So, really, in this matchup here, I mean, this was a match where Jeff clearly had a disadvantage. It looked good for Matt going in, and Jeff still finds a way to win. This is without Eddie Lacy on the team. Kudos to you, Jeff. This was an excellent, excellent effort and really shows your fantasy prowess. And in the last matchup from last week, we had my Warriors of Babylon taking East Fall Blunts. Remember a couple weeks ago when East Fall Blunts was doing nothing but losing and Jeff Goldenbaum was doing nothing but winning? It seems like a reversal of fortunes lately because Bond wins this one. And when I say win, he kicked my ass, 143-80. Everything he touched this week was golden, starting with Ryan Tannehill, 30 points, DeAndre Hopkins, 22 points, and Emmanuel Sanders, 20 points. Where I got 30 points out of that defense that I picked up, and I'm loving the Miami Dolphin defense. 12 points out of Colin Kaepernick. I said it. And 12 points out of Travis Kelce. Finally, Andy Reid starts getting him the ball. So, in lieu of Meet the Manager this week, I just want to shed some light to all of you who are outside of the Fanatics world, and then even shed some internal light on everyone who is in Fanatics. As you saw on the message board, it was a fun week with this trade that went down. And it really was pretty much all fabricated by yours truly. You see, most of you out there know that I love going after people's weaknesses. Goldie, you can attest to that. Bobby, you certainly can. Chris, everybody. John, for your constantly going after your futile attempts to field a playoff caliber team. Sheehan, I mean, alcoholism isn't funny, but I still take my shots at you. But when it comes to Jeff Zeminski, we're talking about a 280-pound, 2'3" guy, Jeff, who has the sensitivity level of my 7-year-old daughter. So, when this trade goes down, and the next day I come into work and I tell him that half the league has called me, which nobody has, he's up in arms, posting message boards, calling out everybody, talking about the integrity of the league. I am a prick sometimes. I've enjoyed this so much this past week. I couldn't wait to get this video going and telling everybody about this. Jeff also is a master at destroying the English language. And when he saw the video last week, he said, "Why didn't you veto the trade if this is going to cause a problem?" I said, "No, you're going to have the trade. It's your player. Congratulations, champion. This is yours. This is yours. You've earned it. You've successfully stolen this player from Aaron. He says, yeah, but I don't want to have no abstract after my team name. Abstract. So the asterisk after your team name will not happen either, because Jeff has already told me he doesn't want to be in the league next year because there's a bunch of assholes in this league. There's no assholes. The only asshole in the league is me. And maybe Bobby. Bobby had some comments and concerns. But other than that, it's just me busting you, dude. So lighten up. That's what this league's about. It's about having fun and poking fun at people. That's why I have Bob's face on the videos. That's why I have Sheehan talking about Bob in the videos. It's why I have a Bond puppet, for Christ's sakes, in videos. By the way, no comments on the Bond puppet last week. It was all overshadowed by the hostility spewing out of this gigantic Pollock in our league. And I could say that because I'm a Pollock too. Anyway, that is the story of the trade and what really happened, Saminsky. There's no groundswell. There's no mass chaos and people wanting to revolt and get out of the league. There's no hit to the integrity of the league. The league was going to get passed anyway. I wanted to cause drama, and I did. And I feel pretty goddamn good about it. On to next week's matchups. My Warriors of Babylon take on Jeff Saminsky and the favorite Tiger. Now, you know Jeff wants to win this one now. And I want to win this too. My team's in a rough spot right now. You know, I had it going good. Lost last week to Bond. Could derail me. Jeff seemingly got one of those first-round buys locked up. So this one's going to go a long way to seeing if, A, I can make the playoffs, and B, if Jeff will guarantee, get one of those first-round buys. In a great match for next week, we got East Fall Blunts, Mike Bond's team, taking on Aaron Stampa's team, Snoozy Loafs. And Aaron's futile attempt to try to not finish in the basement really took a hit with that trade, because now he's got really no running backs at all, even though he does. And Mike is on an uptick. Mike is trying to make a playoff team. I've been saying all year long to him, you could do it. Start off 0-4. Jeff started off 0-4. Same thing. Next matchup we got, and this one is another really, really great game because it does have playoff implications. And that's Matt Dreyfus' Fishtown off in the corner against Greg Long's Mount Laurel Lancers. Both of you guys are coming in with 4 wins. Both of you guys have an outside chance of making the playoffs. Whoever wins this one has a chance. So keep an eye out on this one. Also in this, we've got Bob Crane's Julius Jones taking on Deputy Commissioner Chris Long's Asgardian Thunder Gods, where this one really has, Bob needs a win here in the worst way to even think about playoffs just like the other guys, where Chris has a chance to lock down a bye week too if he's able to win this week. And really in a match that has really no chance of being a playoff ramification, we've got Kenny taking on Brian when the Godfathers take on Michael Sam's Gerbils. Brian, you still have an outside shot at a first-round bye, depending on what happens with Jeff and Chris, so pay attention to that. And also another matchup with really no playoff ramifications, we've got Jeff Goldenbaum taking on John Moore when the Hamilton Square Possum take on the Gravediggers. And really what I've titled over the years the Ulticocker Bowl, the 2 oldest guys. You notice at the draft they kind of cohabitate together. It's like, the eldest guy and the other old guy kind of go in a corner and they talk about the old days. Although I don't know what the hell they talk about because Jeff's got 2 championships to talk about and John doesn't have a playoff. See, I like to twist that knife. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you next week. I'm League Commissioner Kevin Mabula. Saminsky, love you, buddy. I feel so good you know this now. Bye.